phone call. We want to do that phoning in thing for the future. All right, episode 8 of the Harold Katz podcast. Always great to have Woj himself as a guest to keep with Poppers. The triple threat. Jack's not here tonight. It's me, Coach, and Pop. If the three of us don't look enthusiastic, I think people can figure it out. Not the result we wanted tonight for the YU Max. At the end of the day, though, a freshman team going all the way to the semifinals. That's something you have to tip your hat to. And Coach, by all means, take it away. Your overall thoughts on tonight and the season overall.
Yeah, thank you. Let's leave tonight away for a sec. Well, all right, let's deal with tonight. I mean, you have, I've said this before, you have to play for each other, not with each other. And in particular, in the first half tonight, I thought we played with each other and nobody played for each other. They could all get offended by me saying that, but I'm only commenting on what I see. I mean, you have to play for each other, especially when you run stuff like this. If you're not, and again, it's another kind of let me do my thing here a little bit. At some point, when you continue to put yourself in holes like this because you're selfish early on, and that's across the board, when you continue to do that, at some point you're going to play somebody who's good enough to withstand your second half run and who's going to score enough points in the first half to make whatever you're doing in the second half almost irrelevant. We're lucky to have it to 8 at halftime. I thought we were horrible. There wasn't even a lot to like. This game was at the rim. They killed us at the rim, and we didn't even try to play at the rim. You understand what I mean? Like, the kid I was worried about the whole day was 11, Leach, because he killed us last year in the championship game, in a game that we won by 30, but I think if I'm not mistaken, he was like 5 or 6 from the floor or something that night. I'm trying to remember. But he had a really good night. He had a really good night the first time we played him this year. And then I was afraid of the matchup. I was afraid, not so much because of Roy, but because of everything else around Roy. But we thought he'd still be able to do the job. At least he's just a good player who's getting better. He's just getting better. I think those guards have been around, I don't know, since the Truman administration. So at some point they're going to graduate. I'm thinking it's now, but who knows? I know
they were honored on Senior Day a couple days ago.
Don and Lolito and all those guys were honored on Senior Day. So, and like I remember, I'm pretty sure, Pop, you could correct me, but in the first scouting report, which I kind of happened to help with, in November, I think I wrote that St. Louis was going to be their man one day. I think it was St. Louis I pointed out. Well, looks like this past week was his one day. He's just getting a lot better. And we did do a very good job of guarding him. You can't not defend for an entire season and then all of a sudden think, we're going to start to defend what we're capable of. I think we've got a lot better on the defensive end, but our deficiencies were real and they weren't going to get better overnight, and they weren't going to get better. 3 weeks ago, we couldn't guard anybody. So, I thought we did, in particular, Zevi. Oren was better too. I don't think he was better tonight, but he's been better. Zevi's been really good the last couple days. Even tonight, those guys are, it's a senior team. They're an experienced group, and they got their face kicked in by us last year. So I think there's, you're just going to feel it. and then you have to be that much better on a night when you're playing a bunch of seniors who've had their face kicked in by you for the last few years. And I think they were a little concerned we are going to make runs at them, and every time we tried to make a run, we either didn't get the offensive rebound, the defensive rebound, or we'd miss an assignment on a hedge, or we'd make a switch and the switch wasn't smart, or we wouldn't pick up, or we'd take a bad shot on the other end. So honestly, in this offense, if you don't reverse the basketball, you're eventually going to get beat. And that's really, I think, what happened tonight. As far as the season is concerned, it's a hell of a year, though. I mean, for the most part, for the first 20-something games a year, we started 4 freshmen when they were healthy. And I thought they were great. This is what I expect. I expected an up and down year. I did not expect, that we would be competing for a conference championship. To finish with this group, what 13-4 in the conference or something.
Yeah,
right. That's pretty good effort. That's pretty good year for this group, and been here before with a class like this. Now it's just fill pieces in and try to get from here on out guys who run our stuff and are willing to do things. So, I thought as a year was a great year. I mean, Roy got better. Zevi got better, believe it or not. A lot of guys are going to give him grief for tonight. Look, he's number 1 on the scouting report, and Dunn's job for 4 years is to stop the guy who's number 1 on the scouting report in the backcourt. I give them credit; they did a hell of a job on them. And if you don't make them work, like we screened nobody the entire night. Our screens were quick and cheap. We're not screening; we're chipping. You understand? You pay the price for that. You got to run your stuff. It's just what like there's some days you just get your ass beat. That day happened today. Got our ass beat. Give them credit. They did a hell of a job. I will say this. Some of these timeouts I'm not feeling, but we all have different opinions on timeouts.
Yes.
So being left, like the guy in the broadcast said, being left with 1 with 4 minutes to go is not an ideal situation, especially if you can make a run at them. You know what I mean? Cut the thing to 4 or 5. Now we're talking, right? So, but as a year, I thought it was a great year, exactly where I thought it was going to go. Unfortunately, it didn't meet Jack Turell's expectations, but teams seldom do. But there's a lot to look forward to. The guys who are coming back, it's exciting. And to be honest, when you're in this situation, next season starts tomorrow.
Right.
You take some guys should take a couple of days off, maybe a couple of weeks, and get back in the gym. And I mean, then there's some guys who, when you watch them play during the year, they put in 0 work in the summer. So it's a warning to any kids who think they're going to be able to get away with it. Coaches who know if you did work. And it was obvious from jump and obvious during the season that there were some guys who spent 0 hours in the gym in the summer. 0. That was obvious. They may not think it was obvious, those players, but trust me when I tell you, it was obvious. And, if you want to play at the highest level and you want to be great at the highest, and you want to win more than anything else, if you want to win, you get in the gym and do the work instead of running your mouth. Talk means nothing. It's worthless. Get in the gym, do the work, get better over the summer. Every single one of them. You don't do it, stay home. We'll find somebody else who will. It's kind of my opinion. I just think guys who don't put the work in the summer, they're not worth having back. Because they want superstar treatment without superstar effort. And like I said, for a 45,000-minute fight, you have to, for a 45-minute fight, you have to train 45,000 minutes. What you do, say it, I've said it before, say it again. What you do when the lights are off will determine how and how much you will play when the lights are on. Period. That's the fact. So that's my recap. Y'all are welcome to pipe in or ask questions about it, but that's where I'm going with it. I think it's a hell of a job. I think Elliot did a hell of a job on the year. I think the whole coaching staff, Mike, Ellie, Donnie, Joe, Yoni, just did great. It was great work. It's just tough. People have no idea how hard it is when you're a freshman to play college basketball. None. Now, Division One, it's a little easier because everybody's a freshman.
Right.
But in Division Three, they have no clue. None. Everybody runs their mouth like they know. They don't know. And for us to have competed for a conference title and everybody around us is experienced. You understand? Yeah. Every team had guys who've been there more than a year or two. So I'm really happy with what happened. It was pretty much went the way I thought it would go. Maybe surprised me. We lost to teams I thought we should have beat. We beat teams I thought we were going to lose to. That's what happens when you play freshmen.
Right. Like games that we should have won, for example, were like Immaculata, but the games that we necessarily shouldn't have won was like Mary Washington.
Probably. I mean, that was a no-brainer, Immaculata. You just can't lose to them. Yeah. You can't lose to them and say, we're X. No, we're not X. You understand? Like you can't lose a team like that and then say, yeah, we're contender. No, you're not. You're not. You might win your conference, but you just can't lose to Immaculata. Everybody gets tripped up in every league. But the teams that get tripped up by teams that have no business tripping you up, you have internals that you have to take care of. Or you're loaded with freshmen.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take on it. Trying to think if there was a bad conference loss. I don't. If there was, I don't remember it. Farmingdale loss wasn't a bad loss.
Yeah, that was our first.
It was just Farmingdale, Long Island, and the Marines at the Marines place when Bristow was healthy.
Yeah. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't think there was any loss that you just went, whoa, I wish we had that back. You know what I mean? Like right. We just got most of those nights we just got beat because we didn't do what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, and the only game where we really got blown out was NYU, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, we deserved that though. Everything about it sucked. Kind of like tonight, everything about it sucked. Had a bad feeling from jump. When we got up 6-2, I'm guessing maybe we got 5 stops in a row and put up 0 points, where they ended up taking the lead at 10-8 or something like that.
Yeah.
Or even tying the game at 6 when you get all those stops in a row. There's that's a bad sign because you got stops, and then you can take that 6-2 lead and make it 14-2 or 12-2. We didn't do that, and we got beat. To me, that's kind of the ball game. You can't keep getting stops early on, because then those stops, when you build your lead, those stops build into other stops that build into a bigger lead, if you know what I mean. But when you can't get those, when you can't score off those stops, you're in trouble. Yeah, it's happened to us on my high school team a couple of times this year, where you just, the only way you can build leads is by making free throws, taking care of the basketball, and scoring when you get stops.
I think I think that's a very rational opinion of the season. I think you're always going to have those impatient fans, that always want more, especially since a lot of fans got used to winning the Skyline year in, year out. But a freshman team, so you're bound to get a up and down season, like you said. What are the 3 biggest factors that you want to see this team build on going into next year?
Well, I think I think we got to get better on the defensive end, like every team in America every night has to get better on defensive end. I think we got to do a better job. I'm not sure we have great patience on the offensive end. Matter of fact, I'm not
Certainly
sure.
not tonight. Certainly not tonight.
No, not tonight. I'm not sure we have great patience on either end, but I'm not sure we have it on the offensive end because we still don't. We have done it in moments, where we've passed on the good for the great shot. But now the first good shot that comes around, we're taking it. And you're just not going to be good teams by taking good shots. You're going to be good teams by taking great shots. And that's the first thing. We have to improve on that. Understanding that the we is more important than the me. I think that has something to do with it. And like I said before, you have to play for each other and not with each other. Like it's easy to play with each other. Just go to the Y or the JCC and you get a game. Go to Max Stern pickup. You play with each other. But to play for each other, that makes your teams different, special. So we got to get better at that. Everybody got to get better defensively. Everybody got to buy into what we're doing or don't come back. I mean, obviously, who am I? I mean, that's got to be from what Elliott says. So the three things I think we got to do a better job passing it and catching it. We got to do a better job, obviously, on the free throw line and scoring at the rim. And then being more patient on the offensive end, understanding shot selection better, passing on good shots for great shots for your teammates. And as I always tell kids, you can get any shot you want. You get anything you want, both in life and on the basketball floor, provided you help someone else get what they want, both in life and the basketball floor. And it's like the world's open to you. The basketball's open to you if you do that. Share the ball. Stop worrying about who's doing what or what your extraordinary skill set is over this guy's extraordinary skill set and that guy's extraordinary skill set. Just figure out what your team needs from you now. I think kids fail to do that on every level, not just college, high school, pros. What does your team need you to do? Be that guy.
You don't think there's enough self-evaluation from players after a season's over or after a game is over?
Depends on the player. I think the guy with the right attitude always does that. The guy with the wrong one will never see any mistakes in his game. So he won't spend a lot of time in the gym because he's good enough. You know what I mean? The guy who cares about it, the guy who's self-conscious about it, the guy who cares about making everybody else better, he'll get in the gym. Because he knows as he gets better, everybody else will get better. That's fact. That's fact. So work ethic, either have it or you don't. Either want to get better or you don't. But I don't know. Did I hit on 3 of them or did I hit on 5 of them? But that those would be the ones I think most importantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to have a postseason evaluation with your coaching staff and and understand where your weaknesses are, what you have to improve on. And I mean, it's a generational thing for me, so I guess we'll get into it in a little bit, but you have to be honest enough with yourself to know what you can and cannot do. Fix what you can't do while you improve on what you can do.
Coach, how would you compare? I know obviously it's not a perfect comparison, but you have, I guess, a core group from the first year with Sim and Donnie, Kevin Booker, it's Tyler Hood, etc. And now here you have a core group, 70% freshmen. How would you compare how those 2 seasons went and then the the brightness of the future as you see it now with this team versus as you saw it then with that team?
Well, I think with that one, we're installing something new, but we had a lot of upperclassmen. You know, Dean Pianico was still here, and Mike Berg was still here, and Jordan Hode. Shy is still there. Shy graduated. So it was a little young because Ione and Tal were sophomores. And Judah was a sophomore, but he ended up leaving. So I think this group had a better year in regards to they had to just log more minutes. Really, it was just Sim logging monster minutes. Donnie got decent minutes that first year. Not even sure Kevin got any, maybe a couple. But this was a really good year for this freshman group. And remember, so that you had great leadership on that team with Mike Berg, Jordan Hode. Like you had guys who were actually kind of leaders. And this group is mostly freshmen. That group was kind of primarily upperclassmen, you know, or at least had at least 1 year experience under their belt. We're talking about Adi, Gav, Oren, Matan, RB, maybe. That's it.
I think you're going to see a big difference in the first game of the season next year compared to the first game of the season this year.
No question about it.
Four of the five returning, and this year you only had one returning starter. That's just
right.
It's unbelievable.
Right, and I think what you'll see more than anything else is the biggest year of growth, as I see it, is from your sophomore to junior year. Definitely in high school. I also think in college, it's a little easier your sophomore year, but I think you're really comfortable in your junior year.
Yeah, no, that's fair because when we had that run, Ryan was really the only sophomore on that team, right?
Yeah. But I mean, even the junior year was 17 games in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people forget with that 29 game winning streak. When you to start that year, right? Like when you or during that season, when you put that together with the 17 game winning streak, and then we lost 2, won 1, lost 1. What's the math on that, Pop?
Our final record from 18-19?
When we were
19-8.
Yeah, once we were 17 in a row, and then we went 18-3 to end that season, right? And then you're 20.
We started 1-5. We won 17 in a row to get to 18-5. Lost 2 in a row, 18-7. Won 1, lost 1.
47, 47 and 4. And then when you add the other 21 games, right? That's 68-4. And guys are complaining. That's always funny to me. You won 68 out of 72 games and you couldn't beat IW, you know, all that nonsense. Like, I don't think anybody gets how hard it is to win college basketball. They just don't know. They run their mouth, flap their gums a lot, and have no idea. It's extremely difficult. And to do it at a clip, I don't care what league you're in, I don't care who you're playing, and go, you know, 48 and 47 and 4, and then 68 and 4. You gotta be kidding me. 68 and 4, really? So the real question is going to be, Oren, the real answer to your question is going to be, you'll see in a year from now, like what's the leadership look like? Because by the time Donnie and Ryan were sophomores, they were already leaders on that team.
Yeah.
You know, and those two were the guys until late in the year when Tyler was able to play. Those were the guys who got the major minutes in that class. But the leadership was so extraordinary, you know, as you saw last year, You don't necessarily, just because you're talented doesn't make you a leader.
Yeah, well, we've had this conversation a lot, and in fact, to give him a shout out, I've had the conversation with his father. We think that leader is going to be Max Zackheim for the next few seasons.
Quite possibly. So now we're going to find out. You know what I mean? Now we're going to find out who's going to do what. What, you know, leaders like, hey, how many guys are in the gym tonight? Like in the middle of June. How many guys went to shoot today? How many guys worked on their game? You know, not just August 15th. You know, May 22nd. Anybody's getting shots up today? That's leadership. July 1st. That's leadership. Leadership is making sure that you're on top of your team going, who there are jobs available. Do you want them, or you want some kid coming in here and taking them from you? Because that's a fact. Like in the really good ones, you know, they knew you weren't getting their job because they spent all that time in the gym. I remember I got a call from Elliot once. He was like, I got to give it to Donnie yesterday. And I said, what about? And he said, well, you know, it's kind of dogged in practice, you know, early November or late October. And I'm like, Donnie, somebody's going to get your job. And Donnie looked at Elliot and said, Coach, no one's taking my job. He goes, well, you know, that's up to me, something like that. And Donnie's like, Coach, no one's taking my job. I'm just saving it for the regular season. Well, you got to practice hard. You go, all right, see you tomorrow. And then when Donnie, according to Elliot, he dominated that entire practice and said to Donnie, I will never bother you again. But Donnie's just like, dude, it's my job. You're not giving it to anybody else.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what experience does. I'm not a big fan of guys who don't practice hard, but I get where he was going. There was something else going on, but it doesn't matter. Practice hard. You know, he's like, it wasn't he said to me, Donnie said to me, it wasn't practicing, Dad. It was like an opportunity for other guys to get better, I think, for me. Like, I don't need the rep because he could get the rep. He could use the rep. I don't need the rep. You know what I mean? And by the way, he played that way his entire year where he didn't need the rep, except on the free throw line. But like, so I think that's leadership. I think Max can be and probably will be that guy. Adi, who actually at the end of the year acted like a captain, played like one for the most part, except for the occasional knucklehead Israeli thing. But I thought his last few games, he was actually who we thought he was going to be. Game slowed down.
Definitely on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, game slowed down for him a little bit. I'm really happy with him. I like him a lot. He's
gotten better with his ball distribution too.
Yeah, he took care of the ball a little bit, you know, and he's made plays. You gotta make plays.
Gets down and dirty.
Yeah, and I think the bottom line is we have to recruit winning players. That's what we have to do. There are winning players who make winning plays on winning days. And sadly, not everybody every night is a winning player. Let me put it this way. Rosters are full of guys who are not winning players. The question is, how much do you trust your non-winning players? If you end up trusting them too much, it ends up biting you in the ass at some point. Either before, during, or after. But winning players, they don't come around a lot. And when you get them, you got to surround them with guys who know how to win. And then you get extra special stuff like we all experienced. Yeah. So, I mean, I like where this team's going. I like where the freshmen are. If they get in the gym and do the work and everybody buys in, they're going to be great. I'd hate to be another team trying to figure them out.
Yeah.
Manhattanville got to go recruit now. I got St. Louis and a couple other guys, and now they got to go fill them up, right? Fill those spots. We got to get a couple guys around a couple guys. That's all.
Reminder for our viewers, if you have questions for Coach Katz, please feel free to write them in the chat. And Pop is managing that for us. He's monitoring it. But in the meantime, I'll continue to ask the questions. Coach, it could be very deflating. A loss like this for freshman players, it's their first real taste of NCAA playoff basketball. Obviously, only one of us had the opportunity to be in the Kennedy Gymnasium tonight, and it's the guy who wears shorts, so it's neither you or me.
I was actually not wearing shorts tonight, which is probably not a loss.
We have a bombshell right here.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Pop was on the prowl for some honeys.
Anywho, so he was maybe privy to what was going on behind the scenes. We were not there, unfortunately. But Coach, you obviously have years of experience in this. These freshmen, a loss like this, if you're Coach Steinmetz, what do you say to them? Because you want them to keep things in perspective. You have to remember that you still have so much career left in you. This is only the beginning. But still, how do you not let it get to you?
Well, you're correct in that you got to remember it's only the beginning, but then you got to remind them this thing happens. Your college career happens right quick, and before you know it, it's senior night. So you have to make the most of every opportunity from here on out, because everybody else in this league is going gun for you. You know why? Because you're going to be at the top of the standing every year. And the question is it going to be too big for you? I think at the end of this, you go, look, I'm really happy with where the season went. Disappointed in tonight, but really happy on the experience we gained, the understanding of what we're trying to do, how hard it is to do what we're trying to do, and knowing your work ethic. I can't wait to see you guys next year because I know every one of y'all is going to be in the gym. For those of you who did not play a lot, this is a massive opportunity. And for those of you who did, if you don't take advantage of what you've been given and what you've earned throughout the year, either a new kid or some old guy is taking or some guy on a bet is taking your job. And the greatest thing a player could do is make his coach's life miserable by being too good and not playing. How do I get this guy on the floor? If you are not that guy, you have a problem. Be the guy that the coach has to sit around and go, I got to get X on the floor. I got to get Y on the floor. How do we do that? If you spend your summer on a all expenses paid tour around America or Europe or something, and you haven't picked up a ball, don't complain when somebody gets your job. Because you earned that too by not doing the work. So that's how I would address it. That team's been spanked by us quite a few times over the last few years now.
Right. This is their first.
We were 6-0 against them coming into that.
Right.
With the Dunn class, he was 0-6 against us coming in.
Yeah, wow.
So they've been spanked a little bit. So this one had an edge to it. You have a choice. You could be the team that does the spanking or the team that gets spanked. Because the turnover in the league is happening. The one team that's not really turnover is you. And how hard you work and how much better you get and how big the buy-in will make all the difference in the world in your career and our trajectory. That's my speech to the team. Like you deal with the rejection today, and then you let them know, you know what else? Shabbos is tomorrow night. And then that's step off the world, spend time with your creator. Enjoy that. Most people don't get that. You do. Save the Jewish people. So it'll save you too from losing. Shabbos is tomorrow, and the rest of this is irrelevant. You know what I mean? You go back to work, get in the gym, take some time, kind of recharge your batteries a little bit. No more 6 a.m.s. But that weight room is screaming your name. The gym, begging you to come shoot in it. That's the discussion. That's the only discussion there is to have. Say goodbye to your seniors. you know. It happens in a blink of an eye, man. Like a fleeting dream, yeah. So that is what happens in basketball and in life. You take advantage of every moment.
Pop, the spring practices begin soon. Or what's the timeline on that?
Which spring practices?
Like, doesn't Elliot like like I recall like before Sarachek in years past, like the team.
Well, you can run practice until the Final Four.
Right.
Once the Final Four happens, you can still run practice in Division III and Division I until the Final Four. I'm not sure about one, but in three you can run until the Final Four.
Mm.
So in years past, he's done a little bit here and there. I mean, I haven't talked to him about it. The fact that Jacob's in the WBC playing for Israel, I don't know how much time he's going to have for basketball. So, I mean, get in the gym, police your damn self. You're a college basketball player. How much you want it? I don't know which kid on that bench is going to settle for watching for another year without giving an effort in a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's that going to be? You know what I'm saying? So that's my take. Let me address something else, because this one probably should have addressed last week and we didn't. And I kind of got a little mad at myself for forgetting about it.
By all means.
I'm watching maybe 3 different games, high school games in the Yeshiva League. I'm not necessarily pointing out the Yeshiva League. It's not why I'm doing it. But it just happened to be Yeshiva League games I was watching. It's not exclusive to the Yeshiva League. Other Jewish schools do it, and they do it a lot. If my guys did it, they'd have issues dealing with me. But you block a shot and you run your mouth, first of all, you're a 6-foot Jew. You caught the shot from behind, or you got a guy who has a vertical of a can of paint, and you block the shot, and you talking and barking and running your mouth like you somebody. Dude, act like you've done it before. Act like you've been there before. We are supposed to be a light unto the nations. Now, I know my own behavior is not an example of this, but I have a reason why I do what I do. It's not just because I'm an idiot. I am, but that's not the reason why I do it. Some lady was in our gym the other night in a game we played, and she was kind of screaming and yelling, and then she said to me, "I'm sorry if I was distracting to your guys." And I'm like, "You actually think my guys recognize you like that you were a distraction? They're so busy having to deal with me, they don't have time to worry about you." And that's kind of the reason why I do it. Like, forget them. They mean nothing. We are alone in the gym, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, doing what we're doing to accomplish what we want to accomplish. It takes commitment, dedication. When everybody else is home on PlayStation or on their phones, you're here in the gym, committed to getting better, to doing it the right way as a group. So you don't get on the floor and start running your mouth when you block a shot. You got fans who are counting down, 10 seconds on the clock. It happened in a game we played earlier in the year. Jewish fans, like, you don't really see this with a lot of, I got to be honest, we mostly play non-Jewish teams. This year we'll play more Jewish teams than usual, but probably at least we'll probably finish with 33 maybe games, probably, of which 10 of them will be Jewish because we went out and got them. But for the most part, we're playing non-Jewish teams. We never experience this. There's 10 on the clock, and the Jews are going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What the hell are we doing? What are we doing?
My
And then
school
we
did.
have
My school.
balls. And no, wait. See, now I'm pissed, Oren. Then we have the balls. Dude, shut up. Shut up. You can't do that. You can't act like a total douchebag as a fan in the crowd. All of a sudden, Adler comes, and now you're Super Jew. STFU. You know what I'm saying? Shut up. You're an idiot. You can't sit there. You know, high school kids, dude. Oh, what? You got over on a high school kid who had the balls to get out there and represent his institution while you're sitting at home trying to max some chick who's not giving you the time of day, and then you come to the gym like you somebody, and you 5, 4, 3, 2. You see what I did to that guy? We want filling for the last guy on the bench. We want Maisala. We want Maisala. Shut up, idiot. Shut up. Act like a mensch. You know what I mean? Like I'm a lost cause. Like my ship sailed. The mensch thing on me is over. I'm never getting that back. Probably was over when I was like 4. But you guys who you're going to tell me what Gemara you're learning. You're going to tell me about your Rebbe's great Vort. You're going to bring me some chumash from the Ramban. And then you do that. That's how you behave. You don't have the
Nidos.
Yeah, that's a word. When you don't have them, you don't remember the word. You don't have the mitos to sit there and go, you know, what's it Gemara say? Torah study without derech eretz is like a tree without roots. Like you're gonna act. I mean, you gonna act a fool on the basketball court, like you're blocking a shot, and you act as if you the Kembe Mutombo. The dude gets a couple million a year to be a jerk and do that, and that's gamesmanship. You're gonna do that in a yeshiva league game instead of picking the dude up off the floor. You're gonna let him sit. Now, to be fair, there are teams that pick guys up. I can't stand when our guys don't do it, because the bottom line is the creator of all things created all of us, and we're just playing a game. And you're doing it at the time you're doing it, and it's the most serious thing that you're doing at that time. Otherwise, why do it? And then some schmuck in the 12th row with 4 of his friends on WhatsApp are going to stand up 5, 4, 3, 2. You see, we got it, man. Really? Shut the hell up. Shut up.
I would add that my school did the fake clock last week, and we still ended up losing.
Well, come on. What is that? If I was the coach of that group, if I was coach in that school, I'd go nuts on them.
You would stop the game and talk to the
hell yeah. I'd walk across the floor and tell them to shut up. If you want to do that, go someplace else. That's not who we are. I don't mind people booing during free throws and all that. That stuff doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but this clock thing, especially when you don't see the clock, you know, when your back's to the only clock, because schools can't afford 2 clocks, and you're going to do that, and you're going to walk around and tell us how you go do that, and then you go to Darwin Arabit, going to Arbit and Hillel. You know what I mean?
You got the terminology right.
You actually called them out. But like, what are you doing? It's just a game, coach. Yeah, it is. Let them play it the right way.
Coach, where do you think we have a question also, which I want to get to after you answer this, but where do you think the failure lies when it comes to that general issue of students lacking mitos for each other? Is that, do you think, a parental failure, a teacher failure, a societal failure?
It could just be a culture thing. Yeah,
I think it's a societal failure most of all. Twitter, you know, like what videos get shown on Twitter? You know what I mean? Every once in a while, I get a guy picking somebody else up. The rest of it is all that NBA nonsense, all that college basketball nonsense. You know, like what's the one that get the hits? What's the one that get the clicks? Right? So it's a societal failure. Me as a dad, I'd never allow my kids to do it. So I'll take responsibility for that from my perspective. But as a coach, now I don't mind you playing with emotion. You know, you make a 3, you do whatever these stupid kids do nowadays, whatever. But you running you flapping your gums at an opponent, even if he's talking to you, just play. You block a shot and you going flex or something. Sit down. You're 5'10", dude. Stop with that. Learn to play the right way. So I think it's a combination of everything. Teachers in those schools should address it if they witness it that first night they do it. Like this is not who we are. Coaches should address that with their players, no question. Well, they're just emotional. No, you could be emotional. I'll mind that. Getting in somebody's grill like that, he's laying on the ground and you stand over him, giving him the business, or you block a shot and you bump him out of bounds, whatever the hell they do. Shut up, you poser. Like your entire career is going to be that block shot. Because any guy who has game enough, he ain't running his mouth, flapping his gums like that. Unless you deserve it. He ain't doing it. I mean, most guys who can play, they let their play do their talking. Most guys. Not all. But our people, our league, it's Yeshiva League is our league. There is nobody else in that league but us.
Right.
We have to hold ourselves to another standard.
And I think fans are also seeing it as I think teams within the Yeshiva League are still seeing it as an us against them, but it's like you said, we're all in this together,
they're gonna God forbid, like your ancestor, they lined them all up, religious, not religious. They checked out their qualifications as a Jew and they were guilty. Saw today these neo-Nazis in Florida just stopping Jew cars everywhere.
Yeah, so
big megaphones. Just they're coming after you. They don't care. They don't care if you're Hasidish, Litvish, Reformed, nothing. They're coming after you because you're a Jew. And I remember I was putting together a team. Dad asked me to help put a team together because his kid's school didn't have a team. So the kids from the school, and in the school, they had these like intramural games, and they would all tell me about the other guy, and this guy's no good, and this guy, So we put all these kids together, the best ones of those, they want to play together. And I said, hey, this stuff, with you talking nonsense about him and you talking about him, it's over. We become a team right now, today. You're not doing that anymore. That's like intramural nonsense. Leave that in the JCC or the YMCA or whatever. That's just ridiculous. And how do we tolerate it? As educators, as teachers, as coaches, as parents, how do we tolerate that? Listen, I had 4 kids play high school basketball. I had 1 play college basketball. I watched 21 years straight of high school or college basketball or middle school, all the way up. Not one child of mine ever did something like that, ever. So I speak as a dad, as a coach, as a parent.
As an educator?
Yeah. None of my kids ever did it. Whoever believes they did, step up, bring the evidence. They never did it. They never ran their mouth. They just went, you know what they did? They just played and beat you. But win or lose, they left the gym with their head up. Sun's coming up tomorrow. It's just a game.
Yeah.
And
do you have a question in the chat?
Yeah, we have a question in the chat from a Chaim Lazarus who went to Pikesville High School.
Yeah.
He wants you to tell over the story of when your TA boys destroyed Pikesville High School, which he says was an awesome moment for all of the Jewish people.
I love Chaim. Chaim was in, I don't remember, maybe he's in 10th or 11th grade. I don't think he was a senior yet. And, well, I don't know if I've ever told this story on this podcast, but the whole story of the Pikesville High School thing is, so Pikesville High School is the public school in this area in the Jewish neighborhood. Okay. We never get to play them when I'm at TA. Like, that's the dream, is to play Pikesville, right? So actually, the guy calls me up in June, the coach of Pikesville High School. And I swear to God, this is the conversation. Now, if I've said this story before on this podcast, I apologize. But now that Chaim's listening, I'm going to say it again. He says to me, Coach, it's so-and-so from Pikesville High School. I'm the head coach over there. And, oh, is it true you're the coach at Talmudical Academy? I say, yeah, it is. Now, this is June, okay? And he says, you want to play us? We're looking for a game. Do we want to play you? Yeah, we'd love to play you. So why are you calling us? And he says, well, we have a tough schedule. We're playing Southern Anne Arundel. We're playing Pilati. You know, he's going through all these private schools.
This is their easy game on the schedule.
Yes, and he said to us, we need a couple wins on our schedule, and we were hoping you guys would be able to help us out. Coach, we would love to help you with that. Loved it. I hang up the phone. I look at my wife and say, this guy got to be outside his mind right here. So just to mess with him a little bit, I called him back mid-July. And I'm like, hey, Coach, I just want to ask, are we going to be playing with foul shots? And he says, of course, we're playing a game. I said, so when you get like the 10th foul or something, my guys were telling me something, is it 3 shots to make 2? No, Coach, they got rid of that rule in the NBA in the 70s. This is, you get 1-on-1. I said, wait, what's a 1-on-1? So he's explaining all these rules to me. Thank you so much, Coach. I call him back in August and I go, hey, Coach, Harold Katz, Talmudical, I just want to know, do you want us to play some man-on-man or would our regular zone defense be good? Like, what would you like us to do? Coach, you do whatever you want. We're playing a game. Well, we're trying to help you. You know, you need some wins, and we're trying to help you in whatever we could do to help. At some point, now Chaim Lazarus is in public school, and he's the only kid in the entire school who wears a yarmulke. So Chaim Lazarus is sitting at the game, and the cool part is I have him on video and he's surrounded by a whole mess of brothers who go to that school, okay? And Chaim's got his yarmulke on, and they used to tease them all the time, you know, the Jews and the non-Jews. And at some point, we're up 20-2. And the coach looks over to me, and I just kind of shrugged my shoulders. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on here, you know. So the end of the game, I think Chaim would know better. We were up at 1.80-50. I don't know if we let him, like I emptied the bench, so maybe they got 10 points late or whatever. You know what I mean? But at some point we're up like 30. And I'm walking off the floor and I see the coach. And he says to me, Coach, that was a great job you guys did. I said, thank you. He says, when did you start practicing? I said, started like after the holidays in October. So, we can't get on the floor till November for like, I give a shit crap. So, so I go, we can't. So I go, yeah, well, I mean, you know, we do have the disadvantage that we have 44 kids in our school. So we got to. He says, yeah, we had about 82 at tryouts. I said, no, Coach, we have 44 in our school. He says, in your school? I said, yeah. He said, wow, you did a great job today, Coach. I said, well, thank you very much. Good luck on that other side of the ledger now. And walked off. Well, I see Chaim Lazarus a couple weeks later. He's like, Coach, I mean, Chaim can explain it on the chat if you want. You have no idea what you did for me, Coach. They don't bother me anymore. It's like the yarmulkes busted them up. And all I kept saying was, you let the yarmulkes beat you up. They busted you up.
That reminds me of when we beat Purchase in the championship in 2020, and there was one of the dads of the players was tweeting about how these Jew yarmulke kids were beating him.
I remember that. Like that was Chaim was like, he said his chest got a little bigger. He walked around school. They looked at him a little different from there on out. So I'm happy to share that story, Chaim, and thanks for listening. Like he's just a great person, Chaim Lazarus, and I was happy we could do that for him without purposely doing it for him. And that's the story behind, you know, Chaim Lazarus' Pikesville High School experience. And the cool part was, like, they never bothered him about it. As far as I remember, they never bothered him about his yarmulke again after that day. So we accomplished that. I'm proud of that. But that, like, the balls of that guy saying to me, like, we need some wins. But yeah, you call the right guy, dude. Yeah, we're all in. What can we do to help? And this look he had on his face, when we were just killing him. It was Tamir Goodman's first day out, and we were just killing him. And he gave me this look like, what the, were you running game on me? I don't surprising me, coach. I don't know, Dude, I'm coaching, I'm a basketball coach, dude. Don't be addressing me like that. Good luck with Southern Anne Arundel. Like, that's what's up. So, yeah, but see, none of my kids did that over there either. Like we caught a lot of crap. Like Tamir caught, remember one day Montrose Christian came in before Durant got there. They were like a really good school before they pimped out basketball. But and I remember them coming in was a, you know what? It was Covenant Life. And they came in and they were running their mouth. Where's Mr. Sports Center? All that stuff. We beat the living crap out of them dudes. Because all you had to do was run your mouth, and then we all the guys took it personal. But there was a kid, like I saw this tonight. I wasn't happy about it, but it's, we had a kid on our team, was a great player. I love him. He's just such a fantastic person. Grew up to be a great leader and a great man and very highly successful. And one day we were playing somebody and he was yelling at a teammate on the court. Now you have to hold your teammates accountable, but there's ways to do it. And his was inappropriate. So I sat him for the rest of the day. I'm like, I'd rather lose the game and let you know that this is not how we're going to behave here than win the game and let you get away with that. And we never had that problem. Again, you only have to sit them one time, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll sacrifice as many games as I have to get guys to play the right way. And run in your mouth when you're playing, flexing or whatever the hell they do, all that nonsense. Yeah, right. Yeah, this. I get kids doing it. But this thing, dude, there's nothing that pisses me off worse than this, like he's too small. I saw an AD do that in the crowd, like get all the way down and put his hand right off the ground. Like, dude's too small. Really? Too small for you? Really? Really? Like an AD? Like, dude, what the hell are you, a Jewish AD? What the hell are you doing, dude? You expect your kids to act different when you do that?
Right.
I'm not going to call a guy out. Actually, I just can't believe guys do that. Maybe it's a generational thing. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe now that is the Mishnah in Sota. That says that.
Yeah. Well, Coach, it's actually a good segue into my next question because
yeah,
I don't have to tell you, Sarachek's coming up.
Yeah.
And they're going to be fans from all over the country coming out to support their schools.
Right.
Do you think there needs to be a communication from Yeshiva University to all these heads of schools, that their fans need to behave with dignity in class? What's your opinion on that?
I think that's a coach's responsibility more than it is anybody else's, honestly. It's not Yeshiva University. It's not Yeshiva University's responsibility to make sure that fans behave the way a Jew's supposed to behave.
Right.
And we're talking about a Jewish issue. I'm not talking about regular, a lot of people say, oh, what's wrong with that? The Jews know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If our fans,
these fans really turn out from LA and New York.
Yeah, we had an issue. We had an issue with some of our fans earlier in the year, and I addressed it. To
the administration or to the fans themselves?
Oh, to the fans themselves.
Wow,
it's not appropriate. We don't do that. So, I was embarrassed by it. Adults, I was embarrassed by it. They weren't kids; they were adults. So, I think I'm all for guys getting behind their teams and kids cheering and all that. But there's a difference between cheering and jeering. You know what I mean? With a J-E-E-R. Like, stay above board. Kedoshim to you, even in this, you have to take take the position of holiness. Like it's kind of like I always say about some of our teenagers, in particular, some girls who, with all due respect, give it away. Like what are you doing? If you only knew how holy you were, you would never do that. You would never let a guy do that to you, ever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get some of these girls. Guys are just dogs. They're going to take advantage of every situation you hand to them. But, like, the girls, with all due respect, acting like an unpaid whore doesn't do nothing for you. I said it. Because that's all you are. You're just an unpaid whore. Yeah, you're offended. So what? I don't care. I'm offended by the behavior that you think that you feel you're so cheap, that you cheapen your life and your soul so much that you behave like that. Really? What are you but an unpaid whore? What are you? That's what you are. Treat yourself like a Bas Yisroel. Like you're such a holy people. Stop acting the fool.
Yeah.
Letting the kids get in your pants and all that. Are you outside your mind? Have some self-respect. You don't have to be like Lizzo or them other people on the TV. You know what I mean? You don't got to do that. You don't got to get on Instagram and be like them people. You don't, I don't get it. I don't understand. Why would you cheapen yourself? You're so holy. Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah.
And it's really the same issue. I say that to the guys and the fans. Why would you do that? You can support your team. I was crazy loud when I was a fan. Some of my behavior at times was inappropriate. I wish somebody told me to shut up. Now they tell me all the time, and I don't really give a crap because I'm too old to shut up. But
hopefully it'll be a good tournament with sportsmanship and class and teams
yeah,
getting
I'm looking
along
forward
with
to
one another.
It is a good tournament, and most of the teams do get along. Those who want to engage in the tournament engage, and those who don't, for some reason, don't. And okay, but if you don't engage one year, then the next year you're fixing to win it, and you wonder why nobody wants to celebrate with you. Now you figured it out.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like there's a way to do things. There's a way to stay above board, it's kind of like I was interviewed once for Derek Jeter's website. What was that called? What's that called? Players Only, I think, for a thing on Tamir Goodman. And what I said was, are you going to make your creator proud of you or embarrassed? And I think that's every single person has to ask that question, especially at a Sarachek tournament like that. How is your creator going to address your behavior? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, and so all that counting down and all that nonsense, we get it all the time. It's we mostly get it. We'll get some anti-Semitism from non-Jews, not much, only in occasional places. We really have had a pretty good year with that. But the Jews sometimes, boy, what the hell's wrong with my people? My people, not somebody else. They're my people. And I still wonder, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
How is this okay? Like, dude, stop flexing when you block a shot. Pick a guy up when he's on the ground.
Yeah.
Stop running your mouth for no reason. It's like that kid I told you from Kohelet, who I believe is coming to this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I told you that story, right?
I think so.
Right. Pop, you heard that story?
Which kid from Kohelet?
I'm not going to tell you his name, but the kid made a shot. He made a three, and he ran past my bench. He said, Coach, you better not leave me open. You better get somebody to guard me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now
yeah, you didn't say which school they were from, but yeah.
Yeah, well, let's go Kohelet. Now you know.
See you next month.
Next month, he'll be there. I'll give everybody my scouting report on him. Just leave him open.
Right. You don't want to see that.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
No. So like it's just silly, dude. Play the game.
Yeah.
Play the game. So that's sort of one of the reasons why I'm a little loud. I want my guys to have to deal with the pressure of me. Is that way all you people in the crowd doing all that, you don't matter. They don't care about you. They're too worried about me.
We obviously we would be remiss if especially when you have the two biggest YMC fans here on this podcast to not ask you a question about your team.
Yeah.
We're a month away. How are the boys doing? How are they feeling? I'm sure they're very excited. And at the same time, to add a second question to my original question, how much attention do you think Elliot will be paying to this Sarachek edition?
I don't know how much attention he's going to be paying live, but he'll watch. I mean, I would think he usually contacts me about what do you think of this kid or that kid. I mean, you never know because there's always something coming up. I will say this: there's not a lot to choose from yet, but sometimes this tournament opens your eyes to certain kids who you don't necessarily get to watch all the time. And then you watch them play in this tournament in a certain circumstance. You go, you know what? If this kid X, Y, and Z, we might have something here. So I think there's always that. As far as our guys are concerned, I mean, until the other night, we're playing our best basketball of the year. I don't think it's even close, and I still think we are. We're maturing offensively. We still make some bonehead plays on defensive end, but they're all commission issues, not omission issues, if you know what I mean. So it's fixable stuff because we're doing too much of it. You understand what I mean? As opposed to, not doing it at all or not doing enough of it. We're doing too much of it. So those are fixable issues. We're actually playing good basketball in the last couple of weeks. Thank God we've been pretty healthy. John just got cleared today to play again. So it'll be nice to have John back. And that was exciting for everybody when he came back and said all he has to do is tape his fingers up, but he's pretty much good to go. And we play Tuesday and Friday. Fuchsman's Rockies coming to town, so we're going to play them. And then a couple more before we go out to Sarachek. I thought we were going to play Berman again. I'm not sure we're going to do that. Possible, like the 19th or something of March, but I'm just not sure. We're getting better. That's a good thing. So exciting. We want the challenge of going over there and getting a chance to play, and whatever happens. We don't expect. We don't necessarily expect an outstanding draw, but we don't necessarily expect a terrible one. So but wherever it is and whoever we play, line them up. That's kind of the thing we've been talking about all year. Who you're afraid of, and I'm not sure. There are really some really good teams out here. I'm not sure we're afraid of any of them. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to win now. Well, we're not going to lose because we're afraid.
Yeah.
Understand? And so and I think that's, last night I had to stop practice and kind of let guys know what I would tolerate and what I wouldn't tolerate. It kind of goes back to that Farmdale thing, with Elliot last week. Some days you got to let people know what you stand for and what you won't stand for. You know what I mean? I told it to my team too. There's some non-negotiables with me, and effort is the first, last, and only that will piss me off to no end. If you have no effort or you quit, I have no time for you. You know what I mean? I want to know that. So how to remind our guys just really the kind of great people they're going to grow up to be, that sometimes they forget it.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, kind of like what I was saying before. You're a child of God. And you're blessed to be a part of a great people. And you have opportunities here that you wouldn't necessarily get anywhere else. You have to take advantage of those. So everybody going to Saratech, I don't think they understand. A lot of kids didn't have this opportunity, and you do. So make the most of it and do it in the most respectful, elegant, uh, uh, gentlemanly, all while competing. You can do that and still be a nasty competitor. You know what I mean? I think that's what we have to strive to do.
Yeah.
So that'd be my take on it. We're excited to compete. We're glad we got invited and the opportunity to do it. And let's kind of roll the ball out and see what happens. It's kind of my take on it.
I think it's all. I think it's the only thing a lot of Jewish basketball fans have to look forward to now. Since
Well, let me teach you how a coach looks at everything, Oren. I know y'all are basketball fans, but coach looks at tonight and just goes, all right, next year starts tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do I care what happens in the league? No. Do I care what happens in the NCAA tournament? No.
Yeah.
You know why? Because if we ain't there, I don't need to know.
Right.
I mean, if I have friends coaching, Mary Hardin Baylor, I like Cliff. I mean, I have some friends around. I like to see them do well, but we ain't winning. What happens in coach like this? What happens in coaching is you're so locked up. Like every night you have to prepare for the next ball. Like what nobody realizes is as soon as the game is over Tuesday, an hour later you're working on Thursday. And had we won tonight, the whole night would have been Farmingdale because we don't have Friday night.
Right.
So the whole night, we'd have to get a scouting report out either right before Shabbos or right after.
Yeah.
But when you have games like we do every 2 or 3 days, you got to stay ahead. Like I've said before, you got to stay steps ahead and games ahead. And now at this point, most of what you do in your conference is a retread. And you just try to watch and see if they change. Like, his team didn't change anything different. What I think they did realize was the advantage they had on us earlier in the year and didn't take advantage of it, which was their size, in our youth. And tonight, both of them reared their head, so I don't know. If I'm a YU fan, I'm pretty happy. I am a YU fan. I'm really happy because I know what tomorrow looks like. It's hard.
Tomorrow is the 2023 to 2024 season.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll give it a few days and then.
Yeah, this is funny. I might piss off some people here, but saw somebody I'm really close to, and he said he was hearing a pastor talk about tomorrow, and that God doesn't worry about tomorrow; he worries about today. I mean, that is the Torah now. In the Torah, there is no discussion about tomorrow. The discussion is, and this is the cool part about the Torah. The Torah guarantees things in this life today. The ironic part of what the pastor said was that entire New Testament can only guarantee tomorrow because there's no guarantees for this life.
Yeah.
Because when it's not written by the creator of the universe, he can't guarantee anything. So they always have to, when you're dead, X, Y, and Z. What's up with that? Same thing with the Quran. They don't guarantee anything in this life. They guarantee everything in the next life. Like there are some Muslims who worked for me, and I said, I got good news for you and some bad news for you. They said, well, what's that? I said, well, the good news is when you die, you are going to get 70 virgins. The bad news, they're all going to look like me. You understand? So good luck with that book. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm saying, like, only the Torah can guarantee you what happens today in this world. All these other things, they always talk about the next one. The Torah hints to in two occasions, hints to a next world. Doesn't even address it. Right? Honor your father and your mother, your days will be longer. Shluach hasakan, get rid of the bird, your days will be longer. Not only that, but I just learned this the other day. The Torah, Hashem hid the reward for each mitzvah so that you wouldn't put any mitzvah in front of another one. And that they're all important. And you don't know the value of each one. Because to do the mitzvah is what it is in and of itself is what you should be focused on, the mitzvah, right? That's why, and it kind of all ties back in. That's why this whole Jewish attitude, playing a game, fandom of the game, it just bothers the hell out of me.
Yeah, we're Jews first, we're basketball players second.
Yeah, we have to be better. It's not a problem to demand it. Guys want to criticize me for it, so be it. It was a new generation. The new being in a new generation doesn't mean you could act like a dick. You know what I mean? Here I am talking that way. But I'm saying, just because you're in a podcast.
Elimination night, you're entitled to anything.
What's it? Yeah, right. Just like, but like you have, there's just no, come on, we could be better. I surely know I can be better. I'm just not going to be. I'm too old and too, but I can be better. I mean, I try to improve every day. But as a basketball coach, I can be a lot better than that. Crazy thing is, as a coach, I don't know if everybody does this, but I do it. I just see so many mistakes I make every single day. Like coaching mistake where I just go, what the hell was I thinking? Why wasn't I on top of this? Or why wasn't I on top of that? You know what I mean? So, I kind the only reason I know anything about basketball is I made every mistake you can make. That's the only reason I know. I'm not really that smart, to be honest. I just made so many mistakes and remember them. So, and the best, this is a great year for YU basketball if we learn from it. And it's a crap ass year if we don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting in the same spot, the same issues. In a year from now, what did we do this year? We wasted it. I have a feeling we won't be in the same spot. But by the way, just to show you kind of how stupid some leagues are, you understand, we beat Manhattanville during the year. And it's just a geographic placement that they got the home game tonight. See, I think you have to have this rule. The best team in the league gets the 1, and the top of the other division gets the 2, with one caveat. The 2 has to have a better
right. Yeah. I was just about to say
better
record. Yeah.
Especially if the 3 busted your ass at home or busted your ass during the year. In which case you have the same record, you then become the 3.
Yeah.
The geographic location, and the argument is, well, we play these guys twice and you only play these guys once. Fair point. But for years you were feasting on that record. And by the way, we lost all but one of those games. I mean, we won all but one of those games.
Yeah.
I mean, how'd you all do on the other side of the bracket? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
definitely food for thought.
Yeah. I mean, that, it doesn't make sense that, that you leave geographically we're just wasted in this side of the bracket.
Yeah, agreed.
So whatever, it is what it is. You play on your schedule and beat them. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Complain about all you want, doesn't matter. Get it done, man. So Don Shula, well, I think it was Don Shula. He said, no, it was Lou Holtz. He said, stop telling me how rocky the water is. Just bring in the damn boat. Like, I don't want to hear it. I want to hear it. I think it was Shula who said, there are no small mistakes. Well, coach, that's just a little mistake. There are no little mistakes. Mistakes are mistakes.
Yeah.
So, any other questions, Pop? Did our producer have a question?
In the chat, nothing of specificity.
Yeah.
No.
Hopefully this will be the last episode before we incorporate phone calls.
That'd be cool.
People get to be on the line and chat with Coach.
Yeah, just because UCU University is done doesn't necessarily mean we're going to stop doing this. Basketball.
We'll be back next week, God willing, with episode 9. Special thanks to Pop for always coming on. We always appreciate when he's available. Thanks so much to Mayor Wiesel and the 1s and 2s. Don't forget to subscribe, and thanks to Coach as always for his perspective on this MAC season. And we'll be back and better than ever for 2023 and 2024. Upcoming episodes, we'll continue to pick Coach's brain and talk about the upcoming Sarachek tournament.
Those episodes will be short. Picking my brain.
And,
yeah, but before you go, I'd like to get some high school coaches going to that tournament on as guests too. I think that's a great idea. So any high school coaches who are listening right now would like to be on with Coach for a couple segments, that'd be great. Come up next week. Maybe a week, a couple of week. Yeah. That might be cool. It's just a cool thing. I think it's a small fraternity. There's not a lot of guys that are actually thinking about this.
Absolutely. My friend Coach Matt Malk said he had interest. I don't know if he's tuned in right now, but I'll follow up with him on that.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I love to talk to coaches and just kind of, because I know I'm a dinosaur and there's different perspectives and in particular on timeouts or whatever. Look, let me see if I still have it. A little bit of a mess. I was in the process of writing a coaching book. And one of the things I did was I went out and interviewed coaches. It's a little messy here, so I'll try to find it for next time. And I had maybe 75 questions I was asking everybody. And it just from what do you do pregame? What do you do? There's a lot more college, but some high school guys. How's your post game? What do you do? You name it. Like there's a ton of questions that I would have that I think would be interesting that people wouldn't know.
Yeah.
How do you split your practice time? What do you do preseason practice time, postseason practice time? What do you do during the season practice time? Do you practice more? Do you practice less? What's your pregame preparation like?
Yeah, and I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. It's just different approach.
No. Yeah, let's hear it. Maybe I'll learn something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I hope maybe even coaches weren't going to Sarachek, the great Joey Honig.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey, if you're listening, shoot us a message.
And I hope you're not listening, Joey.
But
where's my pullover? Joe, if you're listening, or if anybody knows Joey, I called him out. I'm waiting for my pullover from the Satchin tournament. I love Joe. I think it'd be cool to have him on. He's a great person. And
yeah. Episode 9 and onward, we're going to keep taking it to the next level. The MAC season might be over, but it's just the beginning when it comes to the Harold Katz podcast.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks so much to all of you guys for tuning in, and have a great rest of your evening, and Shabbat Shalom, and a good weekend.
Run the close, Mayor.